my cellar, down in my cellar.
Alright, so today we're talking about Total Chaos. This is a pretty good game that balances itself pretty well between intense action and survival horror. It does, however, have its fair share of small issues that can get in the way of the enjoyment sometimes and kind of get under your skin. So we'll dig into all that. But before we get started, if you like action survival horror games, check this out. What Happens After Midnight, my action survival horror game, is available right now. You're sent to investigate the town of Night Vale and quickly find out interdimensional forces are invading our world. Hop between worlds, meet strange characters, and survive cosmic horrors once you find out what happens after midnight. Also, any feedback is greatly appreciated. Alright, so let's dig into that gameplay. Both the melee and shooting feel pretty good. They both have good feeling, hard-hitting impacts when you attack the enemies. That being said, the ammo is pretty limited for the guns, so most of what you'll be doing is melee. You'll only really want to use the gun on harder enemies and tougher combat scenarios. There is also the spear gun, where you can pick up the bolts that you fire, but it's like way lower DPS than the regular gun. There's the ability to throw stuff that can stun or damage enemies is pretty good, and that also includes for melee weapons, which is fun. The dodging and general movement feels pretty good. The super quick base movement definitely shows its roots as a Doom 2 mod. But there were also some negatives from that, where like sometimes things would feel kind of weird, like not being able to jump or not swimming underwater and instead just walking underwater like you have concrete boots on or something. There are a couple of sections with unkillable enemies where you're supposed to either use stealth or make your way through a Weeping Angels section. If you don't know the Weeping Angels concept by now, it's the thing where the enemies only move when you don't look at them. And I generally found these non-combat sections kind of tedious. The main thing about it is that you go through it and do most of it right, but then make a mistake at the end and have to start it all over again. And then when I did it again, by the time I got back to the end, I would have forgotten that mistake and have to do it yet again. I don't necessarily think they need to add checkpoints. I think the real problem with these sections is that everything has to be done in a pretty particular way. There's not a lot of wiggle room. It's especially annoying in the Weeping Angels sections because there the problem is you're walking backwards and you don't know where you're going, and you basically have to guess and check everything you do, and then also memorize the order of the entire operation. It would have been better if there were more room for mistakes in those sections. The crafting system is good, it has a pretty wide variety of stuff you can make. That being said, it would have been nice if they just told you the recipes and didn't do like these in-universe drawings that you have to interpret. The inventory management is good. I think it's interesting, and I like how the punishment for carrying too much stuff isn't like not being able to take stuff, but instead having it slow down your movement speed gradually. So like if you want to carry a little more than you should, you only get slowed down slightly, and you only get punished harshly if you're carrying way too much stuff. I think that's a good system. There are 2 status effects you can get. There's Bleed, which you can get annoyingly easy. It's annoying to find bandages all the time. And there's also Hunger. Hunger is the opposite problem. There's a ton of food everywhere, and it's light and easy to carry, so it's hardly ever an issue. The enemies are mostly pretty good outside of a couple annoying aspects of a couple of them, like the half-floating electrical guys have this annoying dash attack where they can pretty much catch up to you instantly or unfairly ambush you. Things like that affect a couple of the enemies. But for the most part, I felt the enemies were pretty good. It felt unique. There are only 2 bosses. The first one is kind of meh. That being said, I think the version I played of him might have been a bit bugged because after his first phase, he would always just stay in the exact same area for some reason. And the other boss fight is fairly good. There's a good stretch of level design. It's a bit maze-like, which makes me kind of surprised I liked it. Because when I played the original Doom, I really hated the maze-like level design. I guess this game is less maze-like, so maybe that's it. As I said in the beginning, there are a lot of small, annoying general game design issues. The most prominent example of this was the boxes in the beginning of the game didn't have any loot in them. And so like if you broke them open, the only thing you would be doing is wasting your durability on your weapon. So I stopped breaking boxes for a while, and then when I started wondering why there were so little healing items, I started breaking open the boxes and found that there was just suddenly healing items in them. This was a pretty bad issue. I was wondering if the game was supposed to be super hard or something, but no, they just sort of just changed that boxes just have stuff in them outside the first area. They really could have fixed this pretty easily by having a box block your path with stuff in it, you know. There were also other things. There were a lot of moments of not knowing where to go. And there's also like general little annoyances. Like I had to redo the first boss fight because I didn't realize there weren't auto saves at the beginning of chapters. And just little annoying things like that. Moving on, I've heard some people say they find this game super scary, but outside of being spooked by the jump scare doors, sometimes...
Prepare to enter the scary door.
I don't really see it. I usually don't get too scared of games, but I'm not really seeing anything too innovative in this game when it comes to scares. It's mostly just Dark Souls style ambushes. The story is a bit of a stereotypical horror game story with themes about guilt. Because everyone's gotta be Silent Hill 2. That being said, it's still well done, and they do add some more original stuff like stuff about self-isolation. The aesthetics are really good in this game, which is kind of surprising because you know, it is an interesting old island town, but it's still, most of the game is hallways and average places like an apartment building or industrial area. But somehow they make it work and every part of the map is visually interesting. There were a couple of small, infrequent technical issues. There were some issues with the crafting UI on a couple of occasions, and I fell under the map once in the final boss. But it was fine for the most part. Overall, it's a pretty good action survival horror with only a few issues, and I'm giving it an 8.77. Thank you to anyone who likes, comments, or subscribes. That's it.
I've been changing everything around. I got a secret hidden there. I've got it with my life.